Not every campus movement is in the same place. The 5 phases of movement help us know where we are in the process of building a movement. Let's take a look. Hey, this is Mark.
This is Kevin.
And this is Go to the Campus, where we talk about how to reach students on a public high school campus. You know, Kevin, both of us have been a part of different ministries over the years, and they're all a little bit different. Sometimes they're a small group that you're starting out with. Some of them have been large movements of students where students are reaching their friends for Christ, and it's looking beautiful. And I remember coming across a document way back when that's called The 5 Phases of a Movement. It really helped me because it talked about not every ministry is the same or is in the same place, but we're all going in one direction. Have you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, actually, I helped design this thing. I was in Bangalore, India, in a mosquito-infested little bungalow. The next day, we were teaching this to a group of about 50 youth leaders. And the thing I remember about that training that opened their eyes the most was that they said it gave them tremendous perspective to feel okay about where they were in the process of the ministry opening up. And so I think this tool called the 5 Phases of Movement is a tool that gives the kind of perspective that we can rest in where God has us, but also points ahead to where possibly He can take us.
Well, let's take a look at these 5 movements and just take a quick glimpse at each of them. And wherever you are in your movement, this hopefully will help you know how to take the next step. So the first stage of movement is called preparation, the preparation stage. And this is the stage where you're gathering information, you're prayer walking campuses, you're getting to understand your campus before you just jump in and start doing things.
Yeah, you know what? A solid foundation for ministry is often overlooked. In our excitement, we want to get out there, we want to start doing things, and oftentimes, you know what? We haven't done our homework well enough to actually see the progress that we wanted to see in the first place. So that preparation phase is so important.
Yeah, and a lot of times that will end up with you working with a small pocket of students over here, isolated from the rest of the campus, and you can't figure out how to break out of that because you jumped too early. You didn't learn about the campus. You didn't connect with the right people on the campus, and as a result, all you got is this: where if you do this preparation stage right, you can have the whole community.
Mark, I want to interject something that is so important for each of the phases as we unfold them, and that is the word patience. I think that's we're so eager to see changed lives that we oftentimes just overlook or overstep some of the most important fundamentals in seeing a movement built in the right way.
That's really good. Well, what's the next phase, Kevin?
Hey, it's called the gathering phase, and if you're in this phase, you're a busy person. In this phase, we sow broadly. We're looking at the campus as a whole. We're not just narrowing in, like you said, Mark, into one group of students. We look at the entire spectrum of the campus. And the important thing is we're going to the campus on a regular basis. We could even enlist Christian students to come alongside us as we meet them. That's oftentimes a very exciting part of it because they're waiting at the campus for someone like us to show up to point them in a direction that they hadn't even thought about before. That to think about perhaps going from a group that just meets to a group that meets and looks at the campus as their mission field.
I think this is a really important phase as well to get right, and like you said, have patience, because you're just gathering, you're finding students, you're being where students are, you're getting to know students, you're still getting to know the campus, but while doing that, you're finding relationships, bringing them together, doing evangelism, gathering Christian students to say, hey, we could reach this place together. And the next phases are built off of this phase. If you don't do this phase well and spend your patient time doing this phase well, you're going to have poor results moving forward. So the next phase is called the visibility phase. And this is the stage in which you've gathered people and you're beginning to have more public stuff. So you have a public weekly meeting or a public outreach. You start small groups that are led by students. You might begin to gather some of your mature students to do international projects.
That's really good, Mark. I think one of the mistakes we can make in this phase is that we get a popular meeting going and we stop. In other words, we stop looking at the other phases because we have a popular meeting. There's lots of students coming.
Yeah.
People on the campus know about it. It takes a lot of our time to prepare, and you're up front and you're the kind of the superstar for a while. Students are loving it. It's new. It's exciting. That's one of the things that will help generate a lot of what's going to come next. And it's how you use that popular meeting oftentimes will dictate just how successful the next phases are in the movement building.
Yeah, well, I totally agree. This is, we just talked before this little video about the difference between movement and ministry, and we can get in a ministry mindset where it's all about what happens right here rather than what could happen out there. And when you're doing ministry, when you get to this stage, you can think, oh, I've arrived. I've got this ministry. This is what I've always kind of thought it could be like, what I've dreamed about. People are liking it. There's a lot of people coming. And you can stop there rather than use it as a launching pad for what's so great, which is the next couple of phases. And so our encouragement to you would be to continue to go into this next phase, which is leadership. What is that about, Kevin?
It's leadership. You know what? This is really what the reason why I'm still doing with what I'm doing with Cru. We believe with all our heart that students can lead, that students should lead, and they can lead as God's representatives on that campus and feel good about it. So in the leadership phase, it's interesting because you delegate major responsibility to students. I want to focus on not responsibilities, but responsibility. Big difference. Oftentimes we delegate tasks instead of responsibility. That's not the way to build leaders. So in other words, you give students a space to help actually plan the ministry as a group of students who look at their campus as a mission field and who can say, hey, we see it through our lens. We see the ideas that are percolating that can give us the exposure that we're looking for to reach more students. And oftentimes this leadership phase, it turns into really what we've always believed in: staff directed and student led.
The vision for this, for students leading students, is one of the things that caused me to join staff with Cru in the first place also. I love seeing students not only understand the gospel and not only know how to share it, but begin to really have a passion to tell their friends about Christ and to do the activities that help more people know Jesus and to lead. And when you have a student that's leading in high school spiritually, it prepares them to lead for the rest of their lives spiritually. So often we share Christ with a kid and we follow them up, or we plug them into a small group, and then they stay there and they don't have a vision for being a Christian is about reaching out and leading. And so then we have a church full of Christians who are stuck in small group mode, because that's what we train them to do. So I love helping a student who's very young in their faith, or who's a maturing student, learning how to lead as a Christian.
Mark, the idea is not to reach students, but to see students reached.
Excellent.
I think there's a vast difference in the two of those.
I agree.
Well, Mark, what's our final one?
Final stage is called expansion. And that's when you not only work on your own school, but you're reaching out elsewhere. So you're looking at other campuses in your area, possibly even talking to other cities and saying, hey, this is something we can start there. And then international ministries, having some partnerships with not just sending some kids, but saying, hey, let's establish a partnership with that city and really help them establish a ministry where they are.
Yeah, recently I was talking to a staff member who had a really nice collection, not really collection, but a group of students who were really leadership quality. And they were reaching their campus, they were plugged in, leading, and they began to look around their campus and their community and said, you know what, there's a school not very far from ours.
Right.
And we would love to see what God's doing there. And you know what? They began to make forays into that school. It was before the COVID, so I don't know what's happening now, but they're at the point where their students want to go to another campus and see the same thing happen that's happened on their campus. Well, there you have it. 5 phases of a movement. We have preparation, gathering, we have visibility, leadership, and expansion. And if you want more information on these, we have an article called The 5 Phases of Movement. And it's got many more little ideas and tips along the way that you can take advantage of.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Kevin. Hey, well, we've got a question for you guys, and we'd love to write in the comments below your answer to these questions. One is, what phase is your movement in? And the next one is, what do you need to do to get to the next one? What are the things you need to be doing now, patiently, to get to the next phase? So if you like what we're talking about, we invite you to join our community by subscribing, liking, and sharing this video with others. So this is Mark and Kevin with Go to the Campus. And remember, when in doubt,
go to the campus.